teaching college students to use AI generators ethically. So this is something that is a big conversation since December when ChatGPT especially came out and it was free, because there's several AI generators out there and more coming all of the time. But because it was free and easy to use, we had a whole lot of controversy around it. So now we want to take that AI generator, that ChatGPT, make it less mysterious, less sneaky, because now we're going to tell them your instructors know about it and we're going to teach you how you can use it. And I'd like to give you some ideas today. But first, please respond in the chat. How do you feel about AI generators like ChatGPT? Choose a number and give a word that kind of describes that picture for you so we understand how you're feeling.
I see a 6. What's that adjective for you, Tom? We've got 6, a bit leery.
4, scared but excited. A 6, it's like, I want to use it, but how? Okay, great. We're a little clueless in some places, amazed at how much quicker work can get done. Yes. Apprehensive, maybe somewhere between a 4 and a 5. Excellent. Well, thank you for your responses, because sometimes it seems like people might feel kind of alone out, or maybe they're even trying to ignore it, like this elephant, right? If it's behind me, I don't see it. Or we might feel a little overwhelmed by the possibilities behind it because we're trying to figure out what we can do with it. So we'll start off. I did want to tell you a little bit of the benefits of ChatGPT for education. You can use it, because I like to start positive, by the way. You can use ChatGPT for brainstormed ideas. This is a great way when students are really trying to get the idea of what do I write about? They need to generate an idea for a topic in a particular course. Maybe they just need that kickstart to get started. That's an ethical way to use it. It's the same as a Google search, really, if we type in the question. It's just that ChatGPT often provides a narrative as well. And that's where it gets scary. If students just blindly copy and paste, they're not really learning anything at that time. But for this idea, it's really saying, okay, what are the top 5 topics in nursing today? And then it can give them a start for their research paper. We have also, it can generate outlines. This is a really fascinating thing that it can do. It can generate outlines for PowerPoint, for a video, or for a research paper, and several other ideas that I'm sure that you can think of. When it's thinking about these outlines, though, it gives ideas of different topics that you can use in your presentation or in your PowerPoint or in your video. And then you can edit that to say, well, that topic, that idea, that bullet kind of takes it too far away, and you can bring it back. You can also, through the use of ChatGPT, increase access to information for your students as well. So maybe they don't always have that opportunity to access the library in a traditional way. Because of the natural language that ChatGPT can use, their questions that they ask can be more natural than some other search engines. So in that way, it can help increase their access to the information as well. There are risks, though, that are associated with these AI generators. There is a risk of academic dishonesty. I mentioned that for a second, that we have had students, everyone, everywhere, who have copied what they've seen and just pasted it in for their assignment. It's valuable to have a conversation with students, but really, we had students before who could do that with their Google searches. So it's not a new thing that students can be dishonest with it. It is fairly new that it's so easy, but it's having that conversation with the students about the value of being honest. And through that, you might talk to them about possible consequences, and not just the ones that ruin their academic reputation, but it's also those consequences where the students aren't able to learn the information because they're blindly copying and pasting. They're not really reading it, digesting it when they're creating these research papers or other projects that are supposed to help them process it. And you want to look at your college or your department policies. So the college is working on the policy for AI generators, But in the meantime, there are some resources from Turnitin, for instance, that help you look at the types of questions that you're asking to try to ensure that the prompts or the projects that you're creating are less susceptible to AI generator abuse. So there's a few ways that you can look at it. And again, emphasizing that importance of academic integrity, to develop core values, and to look at real world applications. There are values in future jobs. We have many jobs right now who have adapted already to use generators, AI generators within their job. There's sometimes that we use it in CCIT also to help generate a scenario idea, or that we're trying to maybe get a foundation for a script for a video that we're creating. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I used an AI generator to begin this PowerPoint, and then I just adapted it and adjusted it in order to fit our purposes here. So there are lots of ways that it's applicable in the real world. But remember, we talked about consequences. You may or may not recall, about a year ago, there was a shooting at a college in Michigan, and 2 neighboring colleges replied with a memo to the community. And it was discovered that their leaders who had composed these memos actually had done it entirely with ChatGPT, copied and pasted it, and released it to the community. And they were either asked to resign or they left their jobs. So there are very real world applications, but there are real world consequences as well. That's why we want to build ethical leaders who can uphold those values of that combination between understanding what is the beginning of the work and then how do they make it their own. So we want to be sure that we emphasize using it as a resource. The AI generators are a supplement. They are not the substance of what your students are creating. And I like thinking about it that way. But they can use them to practice critical thinking. There's a lot of times that AI generators, ChatGPT, they don't get it right. They produce work that if students actually reread it, they'd realize that there are areas for improvement. And many of those are in the citations or the way that information is synthesized to make sure that that combination of ideas is truly effective and valid. And you can use it with the traditional learning. Again, I mentioned supplementation. So you can supplement, students could supplement their learning from a textbook or learning in the classroom in a traditional format to bring in more information. So here's a big question for you. Have you used ChatGPT yet, or an AI generator like that? Are you the happy dog on the left, or are you the dog on the right who's thinking, no, not yet. Never used it, haven't used it yet. Never. Oh, happy dog, I've used it. Yes, not yet. Okay, excellent. Used it and love it. I know that Jason has said he's used it to help with coding, that it's a great resource there to help generate coding for people as well. I'm going to show you, since you haven't seen it before, I'm going to show you real quick, since we had quite a few people who hadn't used it, what it can look like. And this is what it looks like when you sign in. Now, when you sign in, you do create an account, but it's not that big of a deal. You have 3.5, which is the regular one, and GPT-4, which is the premium version that you pay for. But 3.5 is plenty powerful, but apparently 4 is amazing. So if you use 3.5 and you really like it, you might want to consider 4. But we can write in here a variety of things. For instance, we could have create a week-long menu plan that emphasizes protein and flavor. I don't know. So then what it does is says, sure, here's a menu for you. And this is how quickly it works. Here's your breakfast, have some Greek yogurt. Lunch on day 2 includes lentils and chickpeas. Day 4, you've got some grilled shrimp Caesar salad, baked cod fillet, and it will give you the entire week What's always nice too, it really is an English teacher's dream because it starts off with a little paragraph at the beginning that introduces it. And it always has this little kind of conclusion paragraph when it's writing things like this. So that's a lovely little feature that it does. But I wanted to show you that it also does interesting things like this, that maybe this is the what's in it for me, that you want to use it to create these things. You can use it to create exercise plans. You can use it to create many different things. But I just wanted you to be able to see what it looks like. Do you have questions at all at this point? You can use it to create your full lesson plans. I would caution, if you're doing that, that you make sure that then you are injecting your teaching style as well, and recognize the resources and research some of the things that might be referenced to just ensure that they're valid and they're exactly what you want. And Celeste says, I'm making her hungry. Yeah, this was a good choice, right? Okay, so we'll go back here for just a second and then we'll come back to some examples. So here are some ideas. So I wanted to give you some real concrete ideas of things that you could do with ChatGPT with your students. One of those things could be a discussion board. I want you to notice there is an S on here because it's discussion boards, but that doesn't imply that you would do this for every discussion board in your class throughout the duration of the course. This is the possibility that you might have one that requires the use of the ChatGPT to research and share an informative response. When your students type in a prompt, like I typed in the menu prompt, they can type in there a brief description of photosynthesis. And they can even say a 3-sentence description. In the discussion board, you could have your students put in those 3 sentences from ChatGPT, but then write their own response to it about how they would make it better, maybe with a real world example or with their own personal example. That's something that ChatGPT cannot do for them. It can try to generate some examples, but not theirs. You could have other students also respond to that ChatGPT example about how they would think that you could make it better. Are there any other ideas that you could think of in discussion boards? You can use it as you might think. Research. Oh, feedback on their outlines. Yes, Stacy, that's a great idea, especially if they generated an outline from ChatGPT and now they need to figure out how to make it better. I love that you had that example. Thank you. I guess I have to wait a little longer for people to type. All right. And then, as we might think, research papers. Use ChatGPT. Allow your students, tell them it's okay to use ChatGPT as their starting point. Because if we demystify it, if we de-sneakify it, then it's less exciting to use it. And you'll still have a couple of students here and there, I'm sure you will, but more of them will value the ethical use of it, understanding how it can be useful. And then in your rubrics, you can emphasize synthesis and appropriate citations, the real generation of the content, the ideas, how are they developing it, rather than just this 5-paragraph essay. So for instance, I asked ChatGPT once to generate a 5-paragraph essay about Japan's involvement in World War II and if the US had any kind of responsibility towards their involvement. And I told it to provide 3 peer-reviewed resources and a references page. So it went and it did it. However, it only had 1 citation in it, and then I had a reference page and it was cited wrong. So I told it, I said, I asked you for 3 citations. It's neat because you can ask a follow-on question. It remembered what it had said before. I said, oh, I'm sorry. And it recreated it really quick. And it put in 2 now in the text, gave me a references section. The interesting thing about it was then I said, I noticed in the references section, though, it had cited Wilton, but Wilton was not in the in-text citation. So I told it, can you please show me where you put Wilton in the text? It said, oh, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I did it wrong. And so I taught it, I said, do not cite anything in your references page that you did not cite in the text. And I said, thank you for that input. It's really crazy. If you use ChatGPT, you'll notice there's a thumbs up and a thumbs down. If you give it feedback, it will get better, is what I learned in a webinar. Now, I noticed in the chat that it was pointed out that sometimes the references aren't real and that it can make things up. Jason use the word hallucinate. That is what that's the term that's being used for this, for ChatGPT or these other generators. They hallucinate things. And it's interesting because apparently if they don't have a good enough resource, a database that they're drawing from, or if the prompt didn't help them understand exactly what the question might be, then yeah, they make stuff up. So that's why it's also important to read over it. Oh, and there's Kelly Davis. She was a partner with me when we did something about ChatGPT for nursing. So I love seeing these ideas. And yes, ChatGPT, again, if you allow your students and you tell them how to use it, it does take away the rush that they get from, "Ooh, will I be caught if I use this?" Also, for some students, that's what fires them too. You can also use it for critiques of work. And this is one of the ones that I really like. You can create something with ChatGPT and then tell your students that they need to criticize it. And we already talked about different ways the citations are wrong or made up. We talked about how they can look at the wording. They can look at the way that ideas are synthesized. They can look at a lack of examples and talk about how you would add some personal world, real world examples in there. And I'll tell you from research that I've conducted, students, if they're critiquing that computer, they feel more free than if it's another student, a peer review, or if it's you. They don't want to offend the people they know. It feels much more anonymous with this computer generated, and they're more likely to speak more critically of the source. And it opens them up and frees them to be able to really dig into that source. So that's another way that you can encourage your students for that critical thinking. And I love, and Jason added that students could use ChatGPT to evaluate their assignments against a rubric to see if it could be improved prior to. And also ChatGPT, for you instructors, by the way, it can create rubrics too, so that you can use that as your foundation of what you're going to create. It won't be the perfect rubric for your class, but it'll give you a start, and then you can mold it to what you really need. Excellent. So I did want to show you a few other popular or useful AI generator tools, because I had made that promise. These are 4 that I've discovered. There's lots and lots of them out there, but I didn't want you drinking too much from a fire hose today. So these are just some of the ideas. Perplexity AI is one that students can use for research. So again, what's really important with any AI generator that you use or your students use, they need to know the database from which these large language models, you might have seen LLM, are drawing their information. And Perplexity is supposed to draw it from peer-reviewed resources or respected resources, not just a Google search. Gamma is something that you can use as an instructor to create PowerPoints, presentations. That's the one I used to create the rough draft of this. Canva, if you were here for the previous presentation, you saw a lot of wonders of Canva for video production, but Canva's pretty good in the AI department too. And then DALL-E, I just want to show you that you can use that to create images based on the text that you write. And I do see a request for these slides and these links. Yes, I'm going to pop that into the chat. Just hang on for that. Okay, I want to show you these examples. So here's Perplexity. And I typed in, what are recommended treatments for schizophrenia? So here we have, what treatments are there for schizophrenia? We see that it comes from, we've got some resources are like the National Institute of Health here. That's pretty good. They put WebMD, you know, maybe that's good, maybe not. We have to kind of figure that out. What I like though is in the answer, when they write it, oops, they tell you the resource that they used to be able to have that question. And you can ask a follow-up question as well. This resource is free. Now, if Amber, if you're asking about Canva, if you use your Delaware Tech credentials, you can get into that for free and get pro access. So you can access everything. So that's a great perk of working here. All right, I'm going to go back to this one where we saw our ChatGPT. And I want to show you perplexity here. So if you have a question that you want to ask, what is photosynthesis, for instance, it works pretty quickly. And there are some resources that might be more useful than others, but you can see that it creates a lot of information. It can give me some graphics that are useful, and maybe some related questions that I might have to deepen my understanding. So Perplexity can be a really good resource to help your students get started with some research and being able to find some ways to better understand. And then any follow-up, you can ask follow-up questions there as well. This is an interesting resource. It's kind of free. So you start off at Gamma and you have a certain number of credits that you can use. And then as you create resources, it uses your credits. So you can see that I have 270 credits left because I've created a few things just to see what I could do. This one is the PowerPoint that I started here and had Gamma. You can create a document, a web page, or a presentation with it. I can present from here, but I didn't want to do that. So I downloaded it into PowerPoint, and then I didn't like that because some of the words they doubled. So there was a fallibility, right, of the generator. So the PowerPoint that I was sharing with you, I created actually, but I used this as kind of my outline. And then I recreated a PowerPoint on the side and put in my own images and things like that. But you can see how it can create your information here for you. And it has images that it puts in. You'll notice that these were not the images I had because I created my own, but these were the ones that it gave me. I wasn't sure if I liked them anyway, but you can always change them. If you edit it and ask the AI to edit it, this little robot guy, it'll charge you credits. But if it looks like it was a mistake, then it doesn't charge you. It's interesting, but it gives you lots of different, and it looks pretty. But again, I edited this for our purposes. But this is another way that a student could create the foundation of a presentation that you need for their class, or you could use it. And then I had mentioned DALL-E, which this is now a part of OpenAI. So when you sign in to ChatGPT, it'll ask you if you want to go to ChatGPT. There's a option there also for DALL-E. This one will create images for you. And the image that it created for me was actually a pink panda eating an ice cream cone in Paris. And I'll show you what that looked like. And this shows you how you can have presentations, documents, or web pages with Gamma. And then my credits, I was trying to show you that. Here's my a watercolor style of a pink panda eating an ice cream cone in Paris. Now, it gave me 5 choices and they weren't all pink, but I chose the one that matched my prompt the best. So this is something for you that if your students need to create certain diagrams or pictures to go with what they're representing, this could be a source for them. Now, I do know my art teachers out there, they might also like to be aware of this. If their students are supposed to do graphic arts and they create this and they have a rule against creating it this way, you need to actually know how to use the tools. Well, then at least they can be aware that students can do this. So it's always important that we know what's available out there so that then at least we can have those honest conversations with our students. Oh, with DALL-E, when you log in, it's similar for what is created. See how there's you have these different choices of how you can sign into ChatGPT now. DALL-E is one of those choices. And it gives you examples of what you could ask it to do. You can say, surprise me, who knows what that'll be. A crayon drawing of several cute, colorful monsters with an ice cream cone bodies on dark blue paper. Now, I've created some things with DALL-E that I thought were really good. It's still not good at fingers, by the way. Hands, it's working on it, but they'll look weird. So that's another way you can usually tell that ChatGPT did it. Whoops. And then you can see the monsters, the crayon drawing monsters. You can see my panda bears here. And my first little try at this was a student wearing a chicken costume at a writing desk. I don't know where that came from, but it just shows you the ideas and how sometimes when they put them together. Now, Jason commented that in Canva, which is a fabulous presentation program, you can create using AI generators in a few different ways, actually. And it's really a great tool to be able to help you get started. And if you haven't used it a lot, especially the Magic Design is a great way to be able to begin. And it asks you to use 5 or more words so you can describe your presentation topic. And it's going to make a PowerPoint for me. Anyone have something they'd like to see?
You want to unmute or
Do you want to type it in? Oh, something chemistry related? Oh, go ahead.
If you have a PowerPoint already, can it turn it into a outline type?
Can ChatGPT do that?
Yeah, or the Gamma.
Actually, you can turn your PowerPoint into an outline form right in PowerPoint. You can see kind of the outline if you've used titles and things like that. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, it comes out very tiny though when you print it for the student, the outline. Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Anyone have thoughts on that?
Because the only reason why I ask, because sometimes the students ask for outline in the note form, I should say, not outline.
Yeah.
In a note form, they ask for your PowerPoint where they could just.
Yeah, generally I would just go backwards for that then to be able to present that. And you can create a printout from PowerPoint that can look a little bit more like an outline also, that can have your slides on it with notes sections next to it.
Yeah. Okay.
So they can take notes and see your slides too, and they can help direct their note taking.
Okay.
If you need me to show that to you, Grace, reach out to me and
Okay.
I'll show you that example. No problem.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so let's see, chemistry related, oxygen and flowers. I don't know. Maybe that's biology. And it takes a few minutes. But it will create a design for you and template styles, different ways that you can look at this. And it does create images for you also. I had seen how Jason had kind of popped that in there. It will create a picture for you, much the way that DALL-E did. If I type in the prompt, it will create that for me too. And it's learning all the time. So it's getting better and better. But sometimes when you have it create images right now, they may or may not be exactly what you hoped for. But you can see, so here it decided, here's my presentation, and it says, well, how do you like this one? So here's oxygen and flowers. Here's the introduction slide. And these are very small, so I'm going to read a little bit of it to you. But it says, oxygen is essential for all living organisms, including plants, which produce it through photosynthesis. Well, what is oxygen? How do plants produce oxygen? Oh, I might have to fix a little bit of the formatting. Introduction to flowers. So now it's combining the oxygen and flowers. If I decided, and I can always decide, well, actually, I like this style better, then it will recreate those slides in that style. It's going to be the same basic content that was on the other slides, but you can see how the formatting changes. Yeah, it is pretty cool to see the flowers in the lungs to help us remember that we need plants to breathe. And let's say I like this one. So when you say create my presentation, it'll just pop it into Canva for you. And then these slides are editable. So if you say, this is way too small, my 50-year-old eyes cannot see that, I can make it bigger. So it can all be edited. If I don't like this picture, I can change the picture. And if you want a tutorial on Canva, there's tons of them out there. But I'll tell you, I mean, April is our resident Canva pro, not to auction her off or anything like that. But most of us will be able to help you also. So reach out to us if you need any Canva help. And do we have a resource guide on Canva also? Not yet.
No,
I think it'll come. But we will gladly help you because this is a fun form of technology. But it's another way. There is free access for your students too. They may be limited in what they can access, but there are also education accounts that give them more access to things. So out of 1,000 images, maybe they can only use 800 of them or something like that. So it's not so limited that they only can use 2, but there are some limits there. Any thoughts, questions so far? Now, thinking about the ones that I just shared with you, which AI generator do you plan to use or explore? Which one might you like to try? And I did leave an other there because maybe there's one you know about that I didn't mention today. ChatGPT and Canva, all of them, Gamma and DALL-E. Yeah, it's because depending upon what your job is, you might have different choices. So I have just a little bit more information for you too, to remind you as you're showing your students these things at the start of the semester, you want to make sure you put out your expectations and guidelines for them. I'm teaching you these tools and I'm teaching you the right way to use them. And it's important to still do that during the semester because it's reminding students, I'm still here, because they get to those time crunches and it can be really tempting to use a crutch. And it's helping them recognize how they can use this effectively and ethically and still be able to put their own learning out there. And it's that open communication that matters, so that you're having these good conversations, having that awareness that this is even out there. You're not like that elephant just turning your back on it and trying to ignore it so it'll go away. This is not going away. We might as well figure out how we can use it and work with our students. So again, just to underline those benefits of the ethical AI generator use in the classroom, it emphasizes educational integrity. It really is a springboard for those conversations. Maybe we haven't had those much in the past. And we can have those conversations with our students about how do you use these tools ethically, any of them really, and it helps protect the academic integrity. You're developing lifelong skills when you do this. We talked about those jobs where students will need to use AI generators. It will be expected, but they'll also be expected to modify whatever content they get to match their brand or to match their job task or to match their voice. So these are skills that we're helping them with for the future. This is not going away. And again, you are helping your students learn about new tech tools. You're helping expose them because we have students of all ages and of all backgrounds here. You're helping expose them to these new tech tools and recognize a growth mindset that helps them realize that through adaptation and new ways of learning, we can have access to all of this information and still use it ethically and still use it effectively. I am still here for questions, but I wanted to make sure that I was deliberate about allowing question time after this. I'm Laura Thompson. This is my contact information if you'd like to dive into it later, or Grace, if you want to contact me about those PowerPoints. And this is my Bitmoji saying hello. But please let me know what I can do for you. Reach out.
Wow, this sparked so much thought process right now with all these different tools. I didn't even realize we're all out there, right? So Excellent. This is amazing. I can see how this is very good to just generate ideas, right? To get people started, where I think a lot of people may freeze up at first.
And if we think about it, really, the whole reason that these types of things were created was in response to students with disabilities. If you really think about it, people, because if they needed something that would help them generate text because they had keyboard motor disabilities, then generators like this help create that text, voice to text information, or anything that is a reader of things. So a lot of this sprang forward from our responses to helping individuals who needed to be able to access information, who needed to be able to express themselves. If we can embrace it as a tool that way, then we can begin to see the value in it and be less afraid of it and recognize how we can truly use it as a tool. I'm so glad that you all came today. Thank you so much.